What's up guys? Ross Thomas and Jose here for the Brotographer.com, and today we are testing and reviewing the Sony Zeiss 35mm f1.4 versus the Sigma Art 35mm f1.4. Overall, the Sigma Art series of lenses has been known for its extreme sharpness, even sharper than its Canon and Nikon and sometimes Sony counterparts, but I wanted to test it and see if it held up to the Sony Zeiss 35mm f1.4 as well. Now, these lenses, in my purposes, are going to be used for portraits. So I'm not gonna get out there and shoot in landscapes or anything like that. We will test some sharpness on the eyes using eye autofocus on the Sony A7R III. So as you guys saw there, the Sigma Art beats out the Sony Zeiss when it comes to absolute sharpness at 1.4 when shooting someone's eye in a portrait situation. But for most people's purposes, that's gonna be negligible. If you shoot on something like the Sony A7III, which we're shooting this video on today, you're gonna be able to notice it even less. But on a high megapixel camera, zooming in to 100%, you will notice it just a little bit, but I guarantee none of your clients are ever going to notice or say anything. It's just not a distinguishable factor in the real world. So when it comes to autofocus speed and accuracy between these two lenses, when shooting photos, it's completely a wash. I didn't notice any difference when shooting the A7R III with the Sony Zeiss 35 between the Sigma Art 35. The A7R III locked on very quick and it was very accurate when using both the Sigma and the Sony 35s, so you're not going to be able to tell any difference in the real world. But will we be able to tell a difference using autofocus when shooting video? That's coming up next. So just like I thought, the autofocus when shooting photos and also the accuracy was pretty much dead on between the Sony and the Sigma. We're outside now where we're going to test the autofocus, accuracy, and tracking while shooting video. Here's where I suspect we'll be able to see a little bit more of a difference, so let's see. So Jose is going to come into frame. We're shooting at f1.4, shutter speed of 150, ISO of 125. My tracking speed and sensitivity are both at normal and regular, so here we go. All right, so as you guys can see, when it comes to autofocus speed and accuracy when shooting photos, I think both the Sony and the Sigma are a wash, just as good at each other. When it comes to autofocus, accuracy, and tracking when shooting video, I think they both excel in different ways. In that outdoor test, you saw that the Sony actually picked up Jose's face much farther away than the Sigma did. Also, when Jose came into frame, I felt like the Sony was a little bit smoother in its transition to pick up focus. than the Sigma was. The second time around, the Sigma actually did just as good as the Sony, but the first time when picking up that initial focus on his face, there was a slight jitter there. And that's been the case in most of my tests. That I haven't shown you guys is that when picking up initial focus, the Sigma Art 35mm f1.4 can be a little bit jittery at times. I know that guys like Jason Vong have also experienced some of those anomalies when shooting video. So if you are shooting video, I would recommend the Zeiss Sony 35mm f1.4 over the Sigma. If you guys are shooting photos, man, I can't really recommend the Sony over the Sigma. If you're shooting photos, the autofocus speed and accuracy is exactly the same, and the sharpness coming out of this, you guys know that the Sigma Art line is amazing when it comes to sharpness. But the sharpness coming out of this 35mm is amazing. Now, I didn't really test bokeh or anything like that because in all actuality, bokeh is gonna be pretty good on both lenses. It's all personal preference and taste, and once again, your clients are not going to care about the bokeh. They're not going to care about absolute sharpness. All right, so one of the cool things that I like over the Sigma Art series of lenses is that these Sony Zeiss lenses also include an aperture ring, which can be clicked or declicked. Now, I'm not the type of video guy that uses a declicked aperture to control my iris, but when shooting photos, it's really nice to have the aperture control ring right on the lens. Both of these lenses also have an autofocus and manual focus switch, which is really nice, and neither one of these lenses have the focus hold button, which I really like when shooting video, so it's a con for both. But one of the biggest pros for the Sigma over the Sony Zeiss is going to be price. At the current time of filming, the Sigma 35mm f1.4 for Sony E-mount is going to run you about $900, which is significantly cheaper than the about $1,600 that the Sony Zeiss is going to run you. In terms of build quality, they both are built fantastic. They both are built out of metal. The metal on the Sony is going to be a little bit more matte. The metal on the Sigma is going to be a little bit more shiny, and to each his own. Personally, I prefer the look of the Sony just a little bit more, but it really doesn't matter. And at the end of the day, once again, your clients don't care what your gear looks like, they care about the final images. So that should be what matters to you as well. So I hope I've been able to answer just maybe a few questions for you guys when it comes to you buying the Sigma or the Sony. Once again, price is a major contributing factor, and everyone cares about different things. But for me, I care about shooting people with these lenses. So when it comes to that, they both did fantastic, but in my opinion, the Sigma wins out in photography and the Sony wins out for shooting video. If you like this video, check the links in the description below if you're gonna go pick up one of these two lenses. We do make a little bit of affiliate commission with no cost to you. It helps contribute to the channel and helps us keep going. Make sure to subscribe to us here on YouTube, and make sure to hit that notification bell as well so you get notified whenever the Brotographer releases new videos. Follow us on Instagram, where we go hard there every single day, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.